Today we honor Sergeant First Class Elmer Joe Reifschneider, Jr., who served in Vietnam in the mid-1960s. He was a recipient of the Bronze Star Medal with V for Acts of Valor in a combat zone, and the Air Medal for meritorious achievement while participating in aerial flight. Joe Reifschneider, Jr. was born on February 2, 1935 in St. Louis, Missouri. His parents were Elmer and Inez Reifschneider. Joe's three half-brothers were Jim, Charles, and Woodward Woody Jenkins. After attending 10th grade, Joe moved in with Woody, who was a career U.S. Army sergeant, and his family in Nunda, Illinois. In March 1952, Joe joined the U.S. Navy and served in Korea during the Korean conflict, earning the Korean Defense Medal, the Korean Service Medal, and the United Nations Service Medal. He was discharged from the U.S. Navy on January 31, 1956. After about 5 months as a civilian, Joe enlisted in the U.S. Army on June 6, 1956. He successfully completed training to qualify for the Special Forces as an infantry operation and intelligence specialist. The U.S. Army Special Forces, known as the Green Berets, due to their distinctive headgear, are a special operations unit of the Army. Their special operations include, among others, hostage rescue, foreign internal defense, unconventional warfare, and direct action. Joe also qualified as a senior parachutist, completed high-altitude, low-opening, HALO parachute jumps, and was awarded the Expert Marksmanship Badge with carbine and mortar clasp. Joe rose through the ranks, and he arrived in South Vietnam on April 5, 1965. He served with Detachment A 107, 5th Special Forces Group, Special Forces, Vietnam. On January 29, 1966, Joe's detachment, along with 100 South Vietnamese soldiers, responded to an outpost attack. The last radio message from this force was, quote, "We're going to attack. Request all the support you can give us," end quote. 4 Americans died in this action, including the detachment commander and Sergeant First Class Reifschneider at age 30. Here is an excerpt from the official notification telegram Joe's parents received. Quote, "Sergeant First Class Elmer J. Reifschneider died in Vietnam on 29 January 1966 as a result of gunshot wounds of the chest and abdomen incurred while on a combat operation when ambushed by a hostile force," end quote. According to Alex Humphrey, a comrade in arms, quote, "Joe and I served on the same Special Forces team in Ba To, where we were both awarded the Bronze Stars for the same incident. Joe was then transferred to Tre Bang, where he was killed. This came as a real shock because we all thought Joe was indestructible. He was smart, tough, and full of life, with a substantial amount of prior combat experience," end quote. Joe and his wife, Lori Reifschneider, had one daughter, Josie, who was 5 years old when her dad was killed in Vietnam. Josie remembered when her mother was notified of her dad's death. Quote, "I have never seen my mother cry, but when she wouldn't stop crying, I knew it was true," end quote. Sergeant First Class Reifschneider's body was recovered, and he was buried at Lafayette Memorial Park, Fayetteville, North Carolina. On Memorial Day 1966, several hundred people gathered at Soldiers Memorial and Military Museum in St. Louis, Missouri for a special ceremony. Here, Sergeant First Class Reifschneider's mother, Inez, presented her son's artifacts to the museum. In addition to the Bronze Star and Air Medal, Sergeant First Class Reifschneider was awarded the Purple Heart, the Combat Infantryman Badge, the Vietnam Service Medal, the U.S. Army Good Conduct Medal, and the National Defense Service Medal.